I am Stacy McCutcheon. I am the Communications Manager at Stanford Biodesign, and I've been involved with D/D since its inception. And it's my pleasure to introduce our third keynote speaker, Julie Haeger. Julie has been working in HR for 20 years, or she was working for 20 years before she joined Edwards Lifesciences in 2008 as a human resources business partner to multiple departments. In 2017, she became the Director of Talent Management on the Global Talent Management and Learning team. And in this current role, she leads programs that help leaders and employees enjoy compelling careers at Edwards. One of the programs she developed, and of which she is particularly proud, is called Amplify. It is a global professional development program for women at Edwards that targets the areas that hold women back in their careers and their lives. And she let me know that the source book they use is called How Women Rise, and that's by Marshall Goldsmith and Sally Helgeson, and I'll put that in the chat. The format of Amplify is a 4-month peer mentoring learning journey in which small groups of women connect weekly to discuss curated topics like knowing your value, increasing grit and resilience, speaking concisely, conquering self-doubt, and advocating for yourself and others. She launched the program in 2019, and it has graduated over 500 women so far, and there are 300 enrolled this year. So saying that it is resonating with her audience at Edwards is an understatement. Julie has been an invaluable contributor to D/D. She helped shape this speed mentoring event. She opened our eyes to different kinds of mentoring, which I think is something she's going to share today. And she has served as an advisor and a contributor since we got started. I am very grateful to have had a chance to benefit from her expertise, and I know that you will be as well. And with that, let me stop talking and turn it over to Julie.
All right. Can you hear me? All right. Let me share my screen. Thank you so much, Stacy. So thank you so much, Stacy. I am so excited to be here, and I've just enjoyed the session already so much, hearing from Angela and Vic and getting to meet 2 new proteges. And what I'd love to do, and it was also so great, Stacy, just now to hear you talk about Amplify, because you're right, it is near and dear to my heart. One of the things I'm most proud of really in my career. And a part of my last 4 years as the Director of Talent Management at Edwards, I've had the opportunity to also lead global diversity and inclusion, which, let me tell you, last year, 2020 was quite a challenging year. So exciting stuff. I've also enjoyed this last couple of sessions with Angela and Vic, and what I'd love to do in the next 10 minutes is sort of build on some of their messages, because I think their messages really resonated with me. And some of the things I have to share can just build on top of that. So thank you for having me today. Here, let me just go to my next slide. Sorry, I'm all over the place this afternoon. I am packing and moving my office, which is why you see me in a funny space right now. So I really love this quote because really, when we think about mentoring, I think mentors, one of their main purposes is really to help somebody see things that are not possible, or that they think are not possible, and help see from a different perspective that maybe that person cannot see from. So I think there's just a lot of opportunity, and it's an exciting thing to be someone's mentor. What I'd love to share in the next couple of minutes is how we can think beyond sort of traditional or formal mentoring. There's so many ways to seek and receive mentoring. And so I'd like to share a little bit about the different ways that you all can think about mentoring, because really it shows up in both formal and informal places. So I love that Vic talked about program, because definitely that is a place you can find mentoring if your organization offers a program. But there's also some other ways as well that you can think about. And then would love also just to help expand your mind and think about how you can potentially build your own personal board of directors if you don't have that already. So when I think about mentoring and all the different ways that a person can seek and receive mentoring, I kind of bucketed it in 2 buckets of structured and then unstructured or more informal. So what I think most people sort of have a perception about when they think about mentoring is a traditional formal one-to-one, where it's, a mentor and a protege coming together and having conversations. And in a program at an organization, that might be over a length of time, typically 6 to 12 months, something like that. So the relationship deepens over time. That's maybe a traditional way of thinking about it. And let me say that all of these approaches to mentoring, to me, are just beautiful. They're all beneficial. They're all amazing. So it's not that there's any good or bad. It's really about what works for you in the moment that you need mentoring. So traditional and formal one-to-one mentoring is one way that you'd often see at organizations that are large enough to have a program might offer that kind of mentoring. Circles mentoring, you may have heard about. It's a little bit newer on the scene, I'll say, but you may have heard about it. I'll give you the hot tip of the Lean In website. So the book by Sheryl Sandberg, Lean In. If you were to go to that website, you can basically download a whole program of how to do circles mentoring. But what circles mentoring is a great way to pull together peer mentoring. It's a great way to really do mentoring in many different ways, but it's basically usually a circle of 8 to 10 people moderated by one of those individuals, and not necessarily to have that person train others on a topic, but really just to moderate or facilitate the circle. So oftentimes those are also over time, maybe 6 months of a circle mentoring where they get together once a month. It can either be on one topic or multiple topics. And then there's speed mentoring. Of course, you're familiar with that because you're doing it right now. So speed mentoring is typically not over time. It is an event. It takes place and then it ends, and it usually is a couple hours long. And these are super fun because you as a protege get to meet multiple individuals, and even fun for the mentor as well, because we get to meet multiple people and just have really like quick dips into specific conversations. So I'm happy to say that my organization, Edwards Lifesciences, offers all three of these, and it's because we can. We're large enough to offer things like this, and so we have a variety of different programs. Our circles mentoring, I'll have to say, is in our network of women ERG, or it's sponsored by our network of women ERG. The circles we have are focused on women. Pretty good stuff. And then when we think about informal or unstructured, that I would say just is accessible by all, anytime. Meaning you can think about peer mentoring across all kinds of, I'll say, venues, whether it's at work or whether it's in other areas of your life. Seeking out people who are kind of at your level, whether they're colleagues at work or people in your age group who are similar or different from you. Learning from your peers is a great way to think about learning, whatever your topic or whatever you're seeking. Reverse mentoring, you may have also heard about. And reverse mentoring, typically kind of the classic example of reverse mentoring is when someone who's more tenured in their profession might reach out to someone who's less tenured for purposes of learning what a less tenured person might be better at. For example, technology. That's kind of the classic example, but reverse mentoring is a great way to learn something that maybe is newer and that other people might be better at than you. And then there's Flash. So Flash mentoring is basically just what it sounds like. Typically, it's a one and done. It's a great way to interact with someone and just learn a specific thing. For example, maybe it's just meeting someone for coffee, or maybe it's meeting them for lunch, and that's the expectation. It's just a one-time meeting. Let's have a one-time conversation, or maybe it's a two-time conversation, but it's not a lengthy relationship where there gets to be a deep relationship built. It's more a flash for a specific purpose. Typically, what I've seen is a career development as a topic. We offer Flash here as well at Edwards. And when I've been sought out as a Flash mentor, it's I think it's almost 100% of the time been career development advice. So these are some ways to think about mentoring in ways that are not just obvious or traditional. And truly, again, I know many of you work for smaller organizations. If your organization or an organization, as Vic was talking about, that maybe you're interviewing with or looking at, if they don't offer something formal, there's still great ways that you can informally seek out and receive mentoring all on your own. With that said, I want to go a little deeper on one other topic that I think might be interesting for you if you haven't heard of this, and even if you have, sometimes good to hear it again, about a personal board of directors. So when you think about your own development, you can see across the top line different topics, right? These are potentially examples of areas that you might want to grow and develop in, whether it's your own knowledge and expertise in your field, whether it's kind of your finding yourself and your own purpose and motivation, similar to some of the things Angela was talking about, or whether it's personal development or personal support, or really even an integrated and balanced life. I say integrated because I think that balance is an elusive thing that none of us will ever find, but having an integrated life is probably pretty achievable. So when you think about these areas, which are kind of typical areas that a person might think about over the years, maybe not all at once, but at different times in their career, these different topics might resonate. There's some questions under each of these that help you to maybe think about who in your life do you already know who could satisfy this. You know, the watch out is that you're never going to find one mentor that satisfies everything, right? Just like when you think about your spouse is not ever going to satisfy every single thing. That's why we have girlfriends and friends and colleagues and other folks to fill our lives. Same with a mentor. The mentor that you might think about is probably not going to fill every gap or topic that you're interested in. And that's why you might want to create a personal board of directors that you can draw upon over time when things arise for you, when you need some balance or integration in your personal life, or when you feel like you want some sponsorship in your organization because you want to become more influential. So who is influential? So there's some nice questions here that help you sort of reflect on who you know, or even if you don't know someone, who do you know of who could be a mentor for you? And that's maybe one other additional thing I'd like to say is you can also learn from people that you don't know, right? It doesn't have to be a personal mentor to you. You can watch people and watch them as a role model, learn from their behavior, learn from the executives who you work with, or learn from people you know outside of your organization. You may not even need to sit down and have coffee with them to learn from them. So I don't know how I'm doing on time. I think I'm probably close to it, but these are the concepts I wanted to share with you all in terms of hopefully expanding your mind a little bit around how mentoring can be received by you and how you can actually seek it out. And then also thinking about creating and really curating your own personal board of directors. And so with that, I'll go ahead and close and say, you know, if you can't see where you're going, ask someone who's been there. That's always a nice thing to think about when you take a look at where do you want to go. And even if you don't know where you want to go, find someone who has achieved what they were looking for, and see how they got there. So helpful to hear other people's stories and learn from how people have navigated their own lives. And with that, I thank you and I wish you the best for your continued growth and success.